to your first game of the new year, drawing on Sunday against Bridgewater. Firstly, does that feel like 2 points lost rather than 1 point gained?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think particularly if you look at the position that we're in, 2-0 up at half-time, you'd really expect us to see that game out. And frankly, we had 2 opportunities at the start of the second half that if we put those away, then I think we killed the game off. The conditions were difficult. We were sort of playing with the wind in the first half and then against it in the second half, and that was definitely a factor. And then I think it's been the case recently, we've not killed teams off when we've had the opportunity, and that just gives them a little bit of encouragement. So as soon as they got the goal from the free kick in the second half, it made us a bit nervous and gave them some encouragement. But yeah, we've done a lot of reflecting as a group this week, because it's been a bit of a run whereby we've had a number of draws and we've dropped points that we shouldn't be dropping. And so as a group, we've had some really open, honest discussions. There's not much wrong at all as far as the group's concerned, but it's like what we should really be managing that game out even at 2-1. So yeah, I think long run it'll be good for us, because it's been difficult, and it just helps us to, as a whole group collective, learn to kind of deal with it and move on.
When you talk about these difficult moments or difficult periods that teams inevitably go through, and you talk about maybe the accountability and the conversations that you have with your team to overcome these areas at the moment, do you feel at times that your team has to be more adaptable in what you're saying there to kill teams off when you have the opportunity to do so as well?
Look, our goals and our targets are really high, and so it's an unforgiving league. You can't afford to make mistakes. Generally you would say, last season against Bridgewater we beat them and lost to them. This season we've beaten them and drawn against them. But to get to our targets, there are no easy games in this league, but we need to be dominant and winning those games. And in my opinion, we're capable of winning that game, and therefore we should. But there's details that we need to get right. And then I think we're always learning. I'm learning as a manager. The players are learning. We're learning as a collective. It's a newer group this year, and we need to learn to manage those situations out. And sometimes, unfortunately, you learn your lessons the hard way.
Something your teams haven't been short of this season is goals. Another goal apiece for your strike partnership, Lily Davis and Annie Colston. So you must take great positives from your side, still scoring the goals as well. But what other positives can you take from Sunday's draw?
Like you say, to have Libby and Annie on the score sheet again is positive. I think been seeing, mentioned to Annie, I think goals are going to come for her. She's had a few situations of hitting crossbars and that kind of thing, but in training she's looking sharp and doing all of the right things. Brilliant goal from Libby, it's a bit of a solo goal, really rolling a player, getting into the box and finishing well. So that's, it's always good for your strikers to have confidence. I think in the first half you can really see our patterns of play and how we want to play. And that's what, when you see that, I think the players can take confidence from that. That's the most encouraging thing. When in the second half, whereby the ball's in the air a little bit and the wind is more difficult, then that's perhaps something that we need to learn to manage a bit better.
As we look ahead to the weekend now, Southampton Women next for your side, and an opportunity to bounce straight back from Sunday's draw.
Yeah, that's what we've got to do. We've got to turn our... feels a bit like deja vu, because I was hoping that the Bridgewater game at the start of the season, that'd be us back on a winning run. We had a bit of a joke really since Izzy Cook's been here. We haven't won, which is ridiculous really, the quality of player that she is. So the talk is that there's a curse on Izzy, and we had a bit of a ritual on Tuesday to remove that. So I'm sure we'll be fine. But yeah, the plan will be to obviously get back that winning feeling.
If we look at your next opponent, Southampton Women, a team who, to be fair, have struggled for form, but they still won't be an easy test in this league. As you mentioned, every team in this league a big test. Yeah,
they got a draw with Bournemouth Sports, who's a team that we drew with a few weeks ago. They'll make it difficult for us. they'll make it hard for us to break them down. And if you look at their results, I think at the start of the season, we beat them 10-0, a very, very comfortable win. But if you look at their results, the games for them have got a lot tighter. I'm sure they're a lot more organised, and they're in a lot better situation. They're obviously very, mentally robust, because it's not easy being at the bottom of the league and getting beat regularly, but they're certainly no pushover, and they'll be taking some encouragement from the fact that their games are getting tighter and tighter for them. So we don't expect an easy game at all.
No easy game in this league, as you mentioned, but teams that particularly sit towards the bottom end of the table have a lot more to fight for, so I'm sure you'll see plenty of fight from them as they look to get points for this game as well.
I agree completely. And that's the thing we've got to be cautious of, is that they're a team, they do have something to fight for. They're not completely cut adrift at this point. And so we need to make sure that we do our job well, that we take our chances, that we're more ruthless. That's what we need to be on Sunday, is ruthless, and then that can kickstart us on, I think, for the second part of the season.
New manager this season, Southampton Women, a name Swindon Town fans will be familiar with in James Lally. So what do you know about Southampton ahead of this weekend's trip?
Just that we're anticipating that they're likely going to a low block and make it difficult for us and look to get us on the counter. So we just need to be cautious that we don't overcommit, that we don't become complacent. And we'll have to move the ball well and use our quality players, make sure that we open them up.
Looking at your side, Lacey Liggett on her debut on Sunday, 90 minutes for her under her belt, a good solid first outing for the midfielder. Yeah,
she did well. She did really well. I think it was quite a stretch for me to make her play 90, because she hasn't played for a little bit, but she's fit. She did her fitness work over Christmas, and I think we've got a really, really good player in Lacey. And as I said sort of before the Bridgewater game, I think once we get the likes of Izzy and Lacey fully integrated, and them really understanding how we want to play, and the players around them understanding them, we're going to be in a really strong position.
Lots of competition for places in your squad, so how is your squad availability looking ahead of Sunday? Yeah,
pretty good. We've got Hannah is still in the situation whereby I think she's seeing a specialist tomorrow, but I think she'll be ready to be back in training next week, so she's probably not available for this week. We've got Shauna back from her travels, so she's back from travelling. And Grace is getting closer now as well. She obviously had a serious injury, but she had a sprain sort of subsequent to that, and she's getting closer. So Tori's now outside of her protocol for a concussion. I'm expecting a competitive training session this evening. Yeah.
Competitive training sessions. Obviously, you don't want to look past your league fixture on Sunday, but I'm sure you've got eyes on the Wiltshire County Cup fixture. It's the following Sunday as well, which gives you an opportunity to play those players that are looking for minutes and looking to push into your squad as well. Yeah,
it's certainly that. If I'm really honest, at the moment, eyes are totally focused on Sunday and the circumstances. We're not looking at any further ahead than that. That's our main focus. It's now really important that we go and put on a good display at Southampton and get our job done.
Just lastly, I want to talk about a player that we haven't seen since you defeated Bournemouth back in November, Holly Beck-Essen.
Yep.
Do you have any updates on her injury that she sustained in that game, and how big of a miss is she at the moment for your squad?
She's been a huge miss, and I think a lot of the players and fans, supporters that watch will have noticed and recognised just how important she is to how we've played and how well we've done this season. So she's a huge miss, because she's a real engine in midfield. She's incredibly tenacious. She's a threat going forwards, but she's also really diligent with tracking back and winning the ball. So she's a huge miss. Her knee injury is not as serious as it could be, but she's back in for another scan next week, and that'll tell us a bit more about what her recovery is going to look like. I don't think it's not going to be long run, but she's still going to be a good few weeks off, which is a shame.